Hi, my name is Charlie, and this is an art lesson. And today I will do a drawing demonstration with a special inking technique for line work. And near the end, we will add color that is from the neutral and earth tone range. At my drawing table, I have good light and about 5 pieces of printer paper, and I'm using just a regular writing pencil. I like to start with a rectangular frame and a low horizon line because it helps me imagine the space that my subjects will be in. I already know that I'm going to draw some robots, but I don't exactly know what kind of robots they are, or their design, or their positions, or how they will look. So I'm doing that work right now. I've decided to give them 4 tiny wheels, and their legs should be bent back a little bit as if they're moving. So this is the sketching stage of my drawing, and I'm coming up with a lot of ideas and trying out a lot of different things. I like the look of these robots with their arms because it looks like they're dancing, and it's a little bit rhythmic. They're all the same shape. It makes a nice pattern. I also like the roundness of their bodies and their head. Now, once I feel like I've come far enough along on the sketch, I'm going to try something new. This time, I'm going to put my lines in ink using an ink art pen. Many different types of pens can work for adding ink to your drawing. What makes this an art pen is that the ink is waterproof and fade proof, and it has a very nice nib or tip. The tip is made from a little bit of ink soaked plastic, and the ink flows through it and lays down on the paper in a very even way. If you find a pen that has a soft fabric type tip, that would work great for adding ink. The kind of pens that have balls at the end and the ball rolls along on the paper don't work as well, but sometimes you can try that. They tend to leave little blobs of ink, and in the next step, they become a big problem. So look for a pen with a nice smooth ink line. Perhaps you notice that I'm not inking and tracing directly over my pencil lines. I'm trying to make them smoother and better and improve the design. I made that arm a lot thinner than I drew it with the pencil. And I have to make some final decisions about that hand design. I like this 3-claw idea, and one of the claws is overlapping the hand, and there's a thinner, more interesting arm. Somehow the thinner arms add a little bit more movement, and as I'm working on this, I like the way they're dancing together. Well, once you have your ink drawing done, you get to do the next step of waiting for the ink to dry 100%. Next, find a clean eraser that doesn't have any black stuff on it. I like to clean my erasers by rubbing them on my desktop and creating a lot of eraser crumbs, and you can see how that got that black stuff off. So, I've made another mess there, and I'm going to take this big clean eraser and very carefully, so I don't crinkle my paper, I'm going to hold it down really tight. I'm going to gently erase, and I'm erasing over the entire picture so that every pencil line gets lifted up and grabbed by the little eraser crumbs, and I can brush them away. It's important to hold your paper down really well and be gentle when you're brushing it. I've crumpled many a paper being too rough with it at this point. This is a great way to use a large eraser like the one I have. You can use up a whole pencil eraser trying to do this work. So I recommend a larger one that can handle it. It's important to keep going back and inspecting. I'm trying to get all the pencil lines removed because I'm actually going to put this in the copy machine and make a few copies of it before I add the next steps. This is a copy. Now, I have a very sharp pencil, and I'm going to add a wide range of values. So I'm taking a piece of scratch paper and scribbling on it to wear down the pencil so it's not so sharp. That way, it's better for blending and adding value. Now, I left these robots pretty simple and blank so that I could add details with a pencil later. And this is really a fun part of the design process. What kind of buttons or features or panels or designs make these robots really interesting. So I'm adding details, but I'm also shading in certain areas to make these robots appear more three-dimensional. And I'm adding a dark underside to almost every form to give it the appearance of roundness. So I have added some gray tones to these creatures to give them more visual interest, but they still look rather cold and lifeless. So I'm going to use a unique quality of gray in that gray is activated by colors around it. So if I surround this gray with even the lightest touch of orange, it starts to take on some of the qualities of the colors around it. Here, I'm adding a light shade of blue, the complement of orange, to tone down the orangeness of the background. And if you notice, it almost appears as if it's becoming gray itself. I'm layering purple now in some of the areas, so lightly that you can barely see it. And as I do this, the background starts to become a soft, neutral color that lends some color qualities to the gray robots. This is an effect of color theory that is worth experimenting with. And this pencil is also too sharp for shading, so I dulled it on my extra paper. And now I'm adding some purple in the background. And you'll notice each color I add doesn't really make it that color. It just adds another layer of neutralness. It's a little too purple, so I'll add the complement of yellow to bring down the purpleness. I'm not sure what to do with this ground area, but I'm going to color it with strokes in all the same direction, purple. And then I'll use the complement of purple to take a little bit of the purpleness away. Here I'm just cleaning up the edges. And maybe I'll use a little bit of orange first. And I'm not coloring in the whole area, just some sections to add visual interest and cut down on the purpliness of this ground. And in this way, we can add real subtle color to a picture without using bold and bright colors. Here, I'm using a green colored pencil to add a little darkness to this ground while I'm taking away some of the purpleness. So if you were to look at the background in this drawing, what color is it? A bluish brown? And what color would you say the ground is that these robots are rolling around on? Would you say it's a purplish, greenish, yellowish brown? Coloring with soft and neutral tones is a nice way of keeping the attention on the forms and shapes of your drawing, where bolder colors might be distracting. Here I'm using a pencil to add some highlights to these robots. I'm using the eraser on the pencil to add some highlights. And one of the last steps is to use the eraser to clean up the edges, as you can see I'm doing here. I forgot to mention that I signed my drawing, and I put my name down in the corner in a way that you can read it and see it, but it's not distracting from the whole image. And I recommend that for your drawings also. You should always sign your name on work that you're proud of, but don't make your name part of the picture. Here I'm adding some cast shadows with a regular drawing pencil, just so that these wheeled sections of the robots stand out a little better. And I'm just touching up some of the values. I've made some other robot drawings, if you'd like to see them. I really like this one, but these are 3 characters I invented, and you can see the ground is simply gray, and one of them looks like a bug. And this one, again, very subtle coloring, and this one has a puppy. I like that. Well, that's all the time we have today. I hope that that was helpful to see that not all color schemes need to be bright and bold colors. You can use low intensity neutral colors and earth tones to add visual interest. I hope you find the time to practice your drawing skills this week. I know all of you are at different levels, and I hope that you find the courage to stick with it. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I enjoyed it to the utmost.